Imagine this. A royal guard, known for never moving, never speaking, and never breaking protocol, suddenly steps out of line. And he does it because of a single secret signal from a little princess. Why would he risk everything? What happened in that one moment that changed not only the guard's life but the course of the entire kingdom? Today's story is about that unbelievable event. The palace courtyard shimmered under the golden rays of a rising sun. Tourists and nobles gathered, their eyes fixed on the royal guards, the stoic protectors who stood like statues of steel. Their discipline was legendary. No matter the season, no matter the distraction, they never moved, never spoke, never broke formation. Among them stood Captain Edward Hale, a veteran whose entire life had been shaped by loyalty and sacrifice. For 20 years, he had guarded the royal family with unshakable devotion. He was known as the embodiment of discipline, rigid posture, sharp eyes, and an unbreakable spirit. To him, the code of silence and stillness was sacred. But that morning, something extraordinary was about to happen. From the palace steps came the soft pitter-patter of small feet. The little princess, just 8 years old, stepped into the courtyard. She wore a white dress that fluttered like a dove in the breeze. Her innocent eyes scanned the line of guards, and then, with a subtle movement, she touched her hand to her heart and tapped her wrist 3 times. A secret signal. Edward froze inside. That was no ordinary gesture, it was a private code, one only he and the late queen knew. The queen, who had passed away 2 years earlier, had once whispered that signal into Edward's ear: "If ever my child is in danger, she will use this sign. You must protect her, no matter the cost." For a moment, Edward's heart thundered louder than the ceremonial drums echoing across the courtyard. His training screamed, "Do not move. Do not break protocol." But his soul, bound by loyalty deeper than duty, whispered, "She needs you now." Then it happened. Edward stepped forward. Gasps filled the crowd. The other guards remained still, their eyes locked ahead, but Edward bent down to meet the princess at eye level. "Your Highness," he whispered, breaking 20 years of unbroken silence, "what troubles you?" The princess's voice trembled. "They don't believe me. But I saw someone dangerous hiding near the gardens. He's watching us." Edward's eyes darted subtly to the shadows beyond the palace gates. His instincts sharpened. For the first time in decades, he broke the invisible chains of protocol and moved swiftly, his boots striking the stone like thunder. And there, hidden among the crowd, was a figure cloaked in black, eyes cold, waiting for a moment to strike. Edward lunged, his years of discipline channeled into a single decisive act. The intruder was captured, the threat eliminated before it could bloom. The princess was safe. That night, Edward was summoned before the king. Some advisors demanded punishment. He broke royal protocol. If the guards lose discipline, the entire system collapses, they argued. But the king raised a hand for silence. His voice was heavy with wisdom. Protocol exists to protect. But what is discipline without judgment? What is loyalty without courage? Captain Hale remembered what too many forget: rules matter, but lives matter more. The princess, her small hand clutching her father's robe, looked up and said softly, "He listened when no one else did." At that moment, Edward realized something profound: true strength is not in standing still, but in knowing when to move. From that day forward, the story of the guard who broke protocol spread across the kingdom. But it wasn't a tale of defiance, it was a tale of wisdom, resilience, and leadership. Edward became a symbol, not of disobedience, but of balance. His action carried timeless lessons. Loyalty is more than blind obedience. True loyalty means protecting what matters, even if it means stepping beyond the lines drawn on paper. Discipline is not rigidity, but resilience. Life will test you in ways no rulebook can predict. Strength comes from the ability to adapt under pressure. Courage is not loud. Sometimes courage is a whisper, a step forward when the world expects you to stand still. Leadership begins with listening. Edward saved the day because he chose to hear the voice others ignored. In our lives, opportunities and warnings often come softly, through intuition, through the quiet words of loved ones, through signals we might overlook. Education and mindset shape destiny. Edward's years of training gave him the ability to act decisively when it mattered. Just as in life, our habits and knowledge prepare us for moments when quick, wise decisions make all the difference. And perhaps the greatest lesson of all was this: sacrifice is not always about giving your life. Sometimes it's about risking your reputation, your comfort, even your career, to do what's right. The princess grew up remembering that day. Years later, she would stand before her people as queen and tell the story of a guard who listened to a child's fear when others dismissed it. She used it as a metaphor for leadership. A true leader does not only follow tradition. A true leader serves the truth, protects the vulnerable, and acts with courage, even when it is not popular. Now pause for a moment and think about your own life. How many times have you stood frozen, afraid to break protocol, whether it's speaking up in a meeting, standing up for a friend, or taking the first step toward your dream? We often tell ourselves, stay still, don't risk it, follow the rules. But real growth, real success, and real leadership come when you recognize that moment, the moment when moving forward is more important than standing still. Just like Captain Hale, your habits, your discipline, and your mindset prepare you for these defining moments. And when they arrive, you must be ready to act with courage. So here's the challenge. Listen carefully to the signals in your own life, the little whispers of intuition, the small voices of loved ones, the gut feeling that tells you something isn't right. Invest in your education and habits every day, so when life calls on you, you're prepared to step forward. And above all, remember, courage and leadership aren't about never breaking. They're about knowing when breaking the silence is the very thing that saves the day. The story of the guard and the princess reminds us that life is not about rigidly following the script. It's about being so disciplined, so resilient, and so prepared, that when the moment comes to step out of line, you do it with purpose, wisdom, and courage. And if you carry that lesson into your life, there's no challenge too great, no dream too distant, no obstacle too powerful. Because like Edward, you'll know that the greatest protocol of all is to protect what truly matters. If this story touched your heart and gave you strength, take a moment right now, like, comment, and subscribe. Not just to support this channel, but to remind yourself that you are part of a community of people choosing courage, discipline, and growth every single day. Your next defining moment is coming. Will you be ready to step forward?